Hey guys, welcome. I'm Dewan Hall, and today I want to talk to you about breaking the poverty cycle. Now, in some ways, I feel a little unqualified to have this conversation with you, given that I certainly am not a millionaire. I haven't reached all the financial goals that I'd like to achieve. But, I've been working with a life coach, and she challenged me to decide what it is that I want to have as a legacy. And the truth is, what I'd love to have as a legacy is to be able to impart some financial education on folks so that they too can break the poverty cycle, that they can start living, quote unquote, the American dream. This is really about generational wealth, and it's really for anyone. I sort of geared towards the Black or African American community because that's the community in which I feel most associated with, and the one that I think needs the financial education or could make the best use of the financial education. Now, when we talk about generational wealth, we're talking about getting our financial household in order, not just so we can fix our own financial situation, but so that the lives of our kids and our great grandkids and grandkids will be better as well. Now, to combat this poverty cycle, one of the things we have to combat is really just a scarcity mindset, a mindset of there's not enough, or if someone else is doing really well, that means that I'm not doing well because they are doing well, right? You have to develop a mindset of abundance, a mindset of there is enough. I'm going to claim what's mine out of there. And what I mean by this, uh, you're gonna earn your rewards. You're gonna focus on your contributions, and the rewards are gonna come. One of the other things we have to break is the mindset of living paycheck to paycheck. Now, this is one that has befuddled me for a long time. Even as I started making more and more money, I was still pretty much living paycheck to paycheck. And I would get so frustrated with it. And I can remember having, very heated discussions with my wife about the fact that we were living paycheck to paycheck. And she would say, well, everyone lives paycheck to paycheck. And people say that just didn't sit well with my spirit. It just, I didn't believe that I was destined to live paycheck to paycheck. I didn't want to accept that living paycheck to paycheck is normal. Now, it was my normal. It was what I was doing. It was what I was used to. It was what most everyone that I know is what they do. Now, I still look forward to my paychecks today, and I certainly still need them when they hit. But, if I were to miss one, I could still eat. My family could still eat. We could still do whatever. I want to be careful though, because financial situations can change. But the point is, it used to be that if I didn't get my check on time, we may not even be able to eat. But most likely, we did eat because not only was I comfortable with living paycheck to paycheck, but I was comfortable with debt. My pop used to say, I started off with nothing and now I owe millions, and we would joke about it. And he was a great man. He wasn't um, he didn't stay away from debt like I would encourage others to stay away from debt. This actually has been a big impact for me because up until really 6 years ago, I would carry a credit card balance. My cards were, um, if not maxed out, they were close to maxed out. I was making minimum payments on my credit cards, and you get the billing statement. And well, back then they didn't tell you, but now you could look at it and see it would take you, 24 years to pay off this credit card debt with just minimum payments. And so I was comfortable living paycheck to paycheck. I was comfortable with debt. You know, if there were a time where you know paycheck was maybe my paycheck was my payday was the next day, we didn't feel like cooking the day or we didn't have any food, then we would use a Visa card and go out to dinner. Or you know maybe I didn't feel like going to the laundromat that day. I'm gonna buy a cheap outfit on credit, knowing I really didn't have money to pay back the stuff I've already paid. But I was so comfortable with debt that I was able to justify that to myself. The other thing is not just a scarcity mindset or being comfortable living paycheck to paycheck, but it's the marginal propensity to consume. And generally, what that means is how much out of each dollar do you get to just go straight back out the door that you don't keep for yourself. You just consume, whether it be the latest electronics, or maybe it's hair care products, or maybe it's your nails done, or you know maybe it's Jordans if you're a gentleman. You know, new watches, even though you've already got 30 of them. When you get money that is, you know, a lump sum at one time, whether that be your paycheck or some folks get their income tax returns, do you consume that amount of money? Do you just go out and buy more things, more services, more goods? Or do you keep some of that money for yourself? It's very rare I hear someone or I see someone on Facebook to say they can't wait for their taxes to come because they're starting their new business. Um, I understand many people need that income tax return money to pay previous bills or um, you know to offset expenses you know on their credit cards or whatever have you. Maybe that's their opportunity to treat their kids to a nice vacation or something like that. But the point that I'm trying to make though is this mindset of I get a lump sum of money and I consume versus I get a lump sum of money and I try to figure out how I'm going to put some of that money to use to go make more money. Now, part of this starts off with just that, just saying that, you know, I'm going to pay myself first. I'm going to keep a piece of all the money that goes through my hands. Now, um, I've struggled with this over the years. I was pretty good at earning money, but I wasn't very good at keeping any of it for myself. And it wasn't until I learned that I'm going to keep, you know, a piece of everything that I earn. Now, ideally, it would be a minimum of 10%. It could be up to 20% or whatever have you, but something. You know, maybe you could think of it in terms of hours. You can say, okay, I'm going to go to work today for 8 hours, but 1 hour of today is going to be for me. I'm going to take the money from that 1 hour and I'm going to save it or I'm going to invest it into this boutique that I've been planning on running online or this t-shirt company I've been planning to do or you know I've really been thinking about being a photographer and I'm going to take some of this money and I'm going to invest it in equipment or I wanted to be a DJ and I'm going to take some of this money and I'm going to invest it into more records or equipment or whatever have you, right? Keep something of the money that you're making for yourself and then start to put it to work. And one of the things that changed it for me, and this is, you know, straight out of the Dave Ramsey Total Money Makeover, is having an emergency fund. Those of you that know me and see my posts on Facebook, you know that I'm always harping on having an emergency fund. And I say that because for a long time I didn't have one. You know, Visa was my emergency fund, but a credit card is not an emergency fund. It's not good to keep a credit card just in case of emergencies. right? What would happen is because my credit cards were balances were so high, I would pay the minimum on those credit cards, not using my credit cards for weeks or maybe even months on end. And all of a sudden, the refrigerator will go out, or my wife will get a nail in her tire, or the battery goes out in the car, or whatever have you. Some sort of emergency would happen, and I'd have to use that credit card again. And so, even though I've been paying all these months and not using, the balance actually still went up because when an emergency came, I didn't have the financial wherewithal to be able to handle that. There are studies that have said in the United States that the majority of people in the United States, if they had a $400 emergency, would have to borrow the money. A $400 emergency would have to borrow the money. Your financial situation will turn around when you start saying that a piece of everything that you earn, some of all the money that I earn, yes, I'm going to pay my obligations and my debts, and I'm going to pay my bills, but I'm going to get paid too. Some of this is for me. And once you start an emergency fund with that initial amount, it starts to snowball. It's like taking a snowball and push it downhill. That money will start to accumulate, and you go from just having an emergency fund to having an emergency fund and some money for investments. And, I'm not a TV preacher. I'm not asking you to sow money into me, to send me money. I'm asking you to sow into yourself, to keep a part of everything that you earn when you go out and you work or however you earn your money, right? If you earn some money, keep a piece of it for yourself. Sow it into yourself. Sow it into your dreams, whether that be a business on the side or maybe it's your child's education. Maybe you always wanted to go back to school. Whatever it is, take a piece of everything that you earn, at least 10%, and sow it back into yourself. Pay yourself first. Put yourself on a priority list. And then the next big thing is to learn to automate your investments. And I say that because, you know, if I were to say, well, I'm going to pay all my bills and then I'm going to take a piece of the money and I'm going to put it into a 401k or ETF or my savings account or whatever, it would never happen, right? I know me. If I have money, I'm going to spend it. I'm going to go buy something. I'm going to go to the store just because I'm bored. I'm going to, can't do it now because of the coronavirus, but I'm going to go out to eat rather than cook something at home just because, right? But by automating your investments, having the money come out of your account before you ever see it, having that money go to your investments, to your savings, to your emergency fund before you ever see it, now you can only pay bills and operate on what's left. You don't leave things to your decision making, right? It's automated. Now maybe you're a better decision maker than I am. Um, and I don't know, maybe that's true. I'm not a good enough decision maker to allow me to make the decision to pay myself at the end. It has to be automated. It has to come out before I ever see the money, or those investments probably will never happen. And then again, focus on investment before consumption. Once you start putting your money to work, and this has been a problem for me. I put some money to work into an exchange traded fund, and I left it there for a couple of years, and it started to snowball. It started to build up into a nice, sizable little chunk of change, and then I turn around and I go buy another car, even though I already have different cars, right? So this is the area where I put that money to work. I was reinvesting in dividends, but then I took the money out and I used it for consumption, right? I'm telling you, don't do that. It's okay to consume. You need to have a balance in life for sure, but when you get money back from your investments, put that money back to work as well, right? So that it starts to snowball, make it build on top of each other, and focus more on those investments than just purely consumptions. And slowly but surely, you're going to see a steady growth of your money. Like I said, it's like a snowball. You take a snowball, you start pushing it downhill, it will start to accumulate. The good habits of automating your investments to keeping some money that comes out of your paycheck, some money that you earned, right? Using some of that money, all of a sudden, when it comes payday, you still have a little bit left, and so maybe you take that and you put it in your savings and let your check set your account back to zero again. Anyway, these habits will start accumulating over time, and you'll start to accumulate a financial education, be better with managing money, and your wealth will start to accumulate. Your money will start to accumulate. Um, Another big key thing is I want to help folks understand this is straight from Jim Rohn. You're not really paid for your time. You're paid for the value that you're bringing to the market. Very often you'll hear people say, "Well, I make X dollars an hour, or I make Y dollars an hour, or the minimum amount of money I want to make is N number of dollars of hours." Right? But the truth is, we all work generally the same amount of hours. I mean, some of us are workaholics like me, working 50s and 60s all the time, and some people work 30s and 40s, but most of us work the same general amount of hours, right? But you get paid different amounts, and you know that for yourself. If you just go to different jobs, they'll pay you different amounts of money per hour, even though you're the same person with the same, generally the same skill sets, right? And you're paid differently because the value that you're bringing is different. And so, what I would encourage you to do is while you're starting to manage your money, right? If you can learn how to manage your money before you start making a lot, once you start making a lot, you can manage, you'll be able to manage it as well. Well, one of the keys to being able to make a lot more is to increase the value that you're bringing to the market, right? Don't just focus on, I work in number of hours, 8 to 5, right? How can you bring more value to that company? And if they're not going to pay you, then you can bring more value to another company, and they certainly will pay you for the time. So, to that end, an education is truly your best investment, right? Um, I read somewhere, when I say read, I really mean listen to, because I'm an audio book guy. But the world's best minds have taken all their knowledge and boiled it down to a couple of pages that could be bought for a couple of dollars, right? Um, Education is your best return on investment. You can buy a book for 15 or $20 or even less at the used bookstore, that could end up making you thousands or save you thousands of dollars. Um, I'm a huge audiobook person. I listen to or go through 3 to 4 books a month, and I can promise you that my career has prospered because of that investment in my education. Remember that life is all about balance, and this is a challenge for me at times. I'm always focused on what's next. I'm very much of a goal oriented person. And sometimes when I achieve a goal, I don't stop and reflect and just be for a minute, right? It's okay to want to acquire a wealth that you can leave to your family, to your grandkids, to your kids. Um, Even if you just left them the knowledge, if you gave them the financial education that you didn't have, right, you will have changed generations from you, from now, because they will have the financial information, they will have the financial knowledge that you didn't have. Give them the start in life that you didn't have. But I digress. You still need to be focused on balance. Take some time to just live in the moment, to be thankful for things that you have, especially now with the coronavirus. Um, we all need to be thankful. I think there was something like 22 million people that filed for unemployment, and I've had to file for unemployment before. It's not fun. Most people want to work, And so, for those of us that are still able to be working, we need to be thankful for that. We need to be mindful and try to help the people who are not able to. Going back to that scarcity mindset, if you want to break the poverty cycle, break that scarcity mindset, find your a way to start giving, whether that be giving a portion of your money and I used to send it to different family members, or help people out behind the scenes. Um, or if you go to a church and you want to give in the tithe, right? Again, I'm not a TV preacher. I'm not asking you to tithe into me, right? But the thing about giving is you're saying that I believe that there's more, right? It's okay for me to give this out because more is coming back, right? That breaks the scarcity mindset, and breaking the scarcity mindset is a key to breaking the poverty cycle. And I'll be honest with you, it's going to suck sometimes. Sometimes when you're uh, taking some money and you're trying to save up or pay off debts or put yourself in a better financial position, you're going to miss out on some of those short term consumptions. You might miss out on that guy's trip to Vegas or that couple's cruise that your friends just invited you to. You could choose whether or not you want to tell them that you can't go because you need to focus on your building your nest egg. That's up to you, right? But it's going to suck sometimes, and many times, especially in the black community, you don't want to hear people say pull yourself up by a bootstrap, because there are a number of obstacles that we face that others in this country don't face, or at least don't face to the same degree, right? But I'm telling you, there are going to be obstacles, right? There are folks who've overcome the Middle Passage, just getting to this country, overcome slavery and not even being able to, it being illegal to get an education and still own businesses. We come from a very proud heritage, so I'm not going to tell you to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, but I am going to tell you that you have the heritage, you have what it takes to be able to overcome obstacles. It is going to suck at times. Yes, you are going to have to work harder, but you can do it. And the thing that can get you through the times that suck, right, is the focus. Focus in on what it is that you're trying to build, what it is that you want to have or to achieve or to have help other people to achieve. Sometimes that gives people the most joy, is just helping other people to achieve their dreams. But that focus on what it is that you're doing, and really is more of why, right? I think that's what the focus is less about what it is you're doing and why you're doing it. Keeping focus will get you through those times when it just sucks. And it gets you through those times when it's uncomfortable. When you're having a sandwich at home when you'd rather be going out to eat dinner, and you got the money in your pocket to go do it, but you need to pay off these debts, right? The why will get you through, focusing on the why. And for me, the why is about generational wealth. I'm not a millionaire. I am barely beyond living paycheck to paycheck. I'm at, again, I can go a couple of weeks or whatever without a paycheck. I hope I don't have to, but I want to be able to build generational wealth. I want to be able to impart knowledge on someone that's listening to this video, and that's does a spark for them, right? That's the beginning of them and their financial knowledge and their financial improvement, and then hopefully they can impart that on someone else. Each one teach one. At any rate, thank you for your time. And again, I'm Dwan Hall, and let's break this uh, cycle of poverty, and let's establish generational wealth. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children.